Hi guys! Okay, so after the Second World War, there was a lot of tension between the United States of America and the Soviet Union. This resulted into a period of geopolitical tension, which we now call the Cold War. Historians actually do not fully agree on when the war started and when it actually ended. But generally, we can consider the war period to be between the 1947 Truman Doctrine and the 1991 dissolution of the Soviet Union. The Americans had always been very wary of the way that Joseph Stalin ruled over his country, and the Soviets didn't appreciate the Americans' refusal to treat the USSR as part of the international community. Once the Second World War was over, the Soviets also started to expand in Eastern Europe, which made the Americans believe that the Russians were trying to take over the world and control it. To make sure that this doesn't happen, the Americans started to come up with a defense plan, like a containment plan. George Kennan, who was an American diplomat, said that, well, he actually wrote that the Soviets believed that with the existence of the United States, there can be no agreement whatsoever between parties who disagree. Therefore, the US must be very vigilant of every step that the Russians make. This containment plan was called the Truman Doctrine. It is an American foreign policy that Truman believed was necessary because totalitarian regime coerced free people and therefore automatically possessed a threat to the freedom which they fought very hard to keep. The international peace that they fought really hard to keep. Truman recommended that the country use military force to stop communism anywhere in the world. The containment plan also included a arms buildup in the US. The Americans actually endorsed the developments of nuclear weapons, such as the atomic bomb. And in 1949, the Soviets actually tested out their very own atomic bomb. In response to this, the Americans built a hydrogen bomb, which was tested in the Marshall Islands. Another cause of the Cold War was space exploration. On October 4, 1957, the Soviets sent the first ever satellite into the Earth's orbit. This was also the very first human-made object into the Earth's orbit. This came as a surprise to the USA, and therefore this was seen as the next frontier for the USA. In 1958, the US launched its own satellite into the Earth's orbit, named Explorer 1. The same year, President Eisenhower also signed an official order creating NASA for space exploration. However, the Soviets were still ahead in this race when they launched the first man into space in April of 1961. In May of that year, however, Americans surpassed this achievement when Neil Armstrong became the first man to set foot on the moon. In the US, there were also some anti-communist hysteria where more than 500 people lost their job. Many hearings were designed to show that communism was also alive and thriving in the US. This is known as the Red Scare.